This is a table saw. This is the fence. The fence is what material rides against to push it through the table saw to cut it to a certain size. This is your indicator marks, and you set this little red line where you need to for the precise width. In order to raise the blade, you turn this knob to the right, and in order to do a bevel, you pull this lever to the right, and you have to manually push it and put the indicator on the degrees that you want to cut. To lower the blade, twist it back to the left. In order to turn on the table saw, you push this green I button right here. When you want to turn it off, you push this big red paddle like that. In order to change where the fence sits left and right, you need to flip this lever up right here, and you can either push it manually or you can twist this knob to the left and the right. If you're cutting something that's really wide, you want to take this secondary fence support and make sure when you're pulling it down, there's two little notches right here. You want to be in the second notch, otherwise it'll sit too high, and that supports the end of your piece as it's riding along the fence. If you're cutting something that's really close to the blade, you always want to use the push stick that's located on the right side of the fence to push it through the saw so you don't cut your fingers off. Back here we have, if you're wondering what this is, we don't usually use it, but it's a guard. Some commercial job sites require us to put it on, and this fits in a slot up here, and this is a miter gauge, which we also don't use very much. Here behind this blade, this is called a riving knife, and it helps keep pieces when you're cutting through the saw from pinching the back side of the blade. Sometimes you need to remove this for special cuts, and the way to do that is this lever right here on the side. You pull it out, and while you hold it out, you pick the blade up and it comes out. And installation is the reverse of taking it out. You've seen in our setup video of how to attach the saw, how to take it down, how to get it prepped for cutting and make sure it's on zero. We basically use this saw for cutting trim and any type of straight molding. We can cut angles and stuff on it. And the one thing I didn't show in those videos was how to remove the batteries. This miter saw takes 2 batteries, and you just squeeze that in, take it off, snap a new one in. This is a hot glue gun. It's used for gluing things with this glue. This is a glue stick. It fits into the back of the gun like this. When you plug the gun in, it takes about 2 minutes for it to heat up, and then it melts this glue while we glue the backs of cabinets or whatever we need to use it for. This is a palm router. We use this for making little dado cuts and little profiles on the outside of moldings. This lives in the pack out, and it is battery powered. It takes the same 20-volt batteries as most of our other tools. This is our 3-way DeWalt laser. To operate it, you turn this switch on here, and you can push these buttons to turn the lasers on or off. It takes a 12-volt battery. This is our one tool that takes a DeWalt 12-volt battery, and there's one specific charger which I cover in the setup video of which charger that this is charged on. This is our cordless palm sander. It also is a 20-volt DeWalt tool, so it takes the same 20-volt batteries as our other 20-volt DeWalt tools, and it lives in the pack out. This is a Kreg jig or pocket hole jig. It's used for drilling pocket holes. So this lives in the pack out. There are 2 pieces. Usually this bit is separate next to it when it's in the pack out. This will go in a drill, and you clamp pieces to here and use the drill to drill a pocket hole so that you can hide screws. This is a pocket hole face frame clamp that adjusts and is able to hold things tightly together while you run a pocket hole screw in them. This is a circular saw, or sometimes we call it a skill saw. This is a 60-volt flex volt DeWalt tool. You see it says 60-volt max here. So this takes the 60-volt batteries. The 20-volt batteries will not work on this tool. You have to use the 60-volt batteries. This is our main tool used for scribing and a lot of other miscellaneous cutting on site. This is our 12-volt Milwaukee work light. It lives in the pack out. The 12-volt batteries here, and it has a couple of different settings, and you can also, it has a magnet on the back so it will stick to a metal surface. This is our 23 gauge cordless headless pin nailer. It also takes a 12-volt Milwaukee battery. You change to add nails to it. You push this little button, it drops open. You can put different lengths of nails in here depending on what molding that we're shooting. We use this. It's our most common gun for shooting pieces of finished trim and things that don't want a very big nail hole in them. And the battery indicator, if you pull down this little lever, will show you how much battery life is left. This one's almost dead, as you can see. This is a Collins clamp. These are Collins clamp pliers. These are used for holding together miters tightly. The pliers go in, open it up, and you're able to squeeze it on a piece of trim to hold it together. This lives in the pack out in the same drawer with the 23 gauge pin nailer. This is a cordless jigsaw. It is also one of our 20-volt DeWalt tools, and it lives in the pack out. Change the battery, same as the other ones. And in order to put a blade in the jigsaw, this is the jigsaw blade box, something that's super important. When this box is placed into the drawer of the pack out, see these little arrows? They need to make sure they're always facing up. Otherwise, this little slide can open, and this will open up, and all of the jigsaw blades will fall out. In order to insert a blade, take whichever blade the installer is needing, and you will pull down on this. Sometimes it gets kind of jammed, and you have to, as you're pulling on this, pull up on this little lever here, and that releases it. Take your jigsaw blade, it fits up in there, make sure it's seated in this little groove, let that down, and then give it a tug to make sure that it's seated. This is a lock right here so that the trigger can't be pushed, so it keeps it from coming on by itself. This is our DeWalt cutout tool. We call it the RotoZip. RotoZip's the brand, but it's the same thing. 20-volt tool uses the same 20-volt batteries. This right here adjusts it up and down, and to turn it on and off is this switch right here. This lives in the pack out with the jigsaw. This is our DeWalt multi-tool. It's an oscillating saw, and in order to change the blade, you squeeze this down right here, which relieves a pressure plate here, allowing you to drop down the blade. You push the blade down and you can slide out, and you can also change the angle of the blade. We use this a lot when to cut off shims and any type of little trim pieces, cutting out sheetrock, stuff like that. This takes the same 20-volt batteries as all our other 20-volt tools, and it lives in the pack out in the same drawer with the jigsaw and RotoZip. It blows things off. We blow off the saw and our tools at the end of the day. We usually put a 60-volt battery on there. This actually can take either a 20-volt, but the 60-volt batteries can be used as on the 20-volt tools. 60-volt gives it a little bit more power and a little bit more battery life. It lives in the trailer on the hook, as you will see in the trailer orientation video. This is our pack-out vacuum that lives on the pack-out stacks. It takes these big batteries. If you lift up the lid, we have this is our only tool that takes these M18 batteries. We have one extra in the battery box. You check the battery with this indicator right here. It has extra tools, a little crevice tool, and a wider tool to vacuum floors and bottoms of cabinets. Lives right there. To turn it on and off is the switch here. This is a high power and lower power. Usually we just use the number 2. To clean the filter, you have to periodically dump the inside out and clean the filter off. There are these 2 little levers here and on this side. Flip them open. The whole top comes off like so. This will be filled up with dirt, and you can just dump it out. The filter, you twist to the left and pop it out. You can knock it off on something, blow it out with the blower, put it back on there, and then put it back together just like so. This is a T-Jack. This is the baby T-Jack, or the lowercase T-Jack. In order to operate them both the same, this is basically a piece of all thread that goes in a pipe. They fit together like so. If you look at this little adjustment knob here, you can twist it, and as you twist it, it allows it to slide up and down. And when it goes back straight, it locks into place. So what that does is allow us to set a cabinet on top. You push it up to the height you want, and then you can turn this to micro adjust it. To let it drop, you twist it like this and it can drop. Now, watch your hands, because if you put your thumb right here, or sometimes you have your hand like this and you twist it, that bolt comes down and whack! Major blood blister, and it really hurts, and don't ask me how I know that. This is a suction cup. We usually use it for removing panels and stuff like that. You put it on a non-porous surface, squeeze it like this, and you're able to pick something up, pop this back open like that, and you're able to release it. This is a hole saw. There are two pieces to a hole saw. There's the arbor, and there's the hole saw bit itself. In order to take these apart, because sometimes we have to change the size, this lives in the pack out with the other sizes, you have to pull down this little portion here and unscrew this, just like that. There are little pins right here in the bottom that lock into these holes in the bottom of the hole saw. So when I'm screwing it on, I pull this all the way down, I screw this on, I get it snug, I let the pins loose, and then I can turn it just till those pins pop through just like that. And if there's a piece that's stuck in here after we've drilled a hole, I can push this button right here and allows me to press this whole bit forward and push the piece out. This is an AccuScribe. We only have one of these in the trailer set of pack outs because they started making them a different way and the new ones are junk. So basically you use it to adjust the dimension that you want to scribe off of something, and this pencil allows you to make a mark at whatever distance that you set right here by turning these little knobs and locking them. Another way that we scribe a lot is by using these gauge blocks. So you can take a pencil and say we need to take 5/16 of an inch off of the side of something to scribe it to the wall. We might ask that we need 5/16 scribe block. You can grab this and we use our pencil to run right next to it. Sometimes we'll have to use a combination of these scribe blocks in order to get the proper thickness that we need. This is a stud finder. In order to use it, you put it against the wall and you push this button. And when you run it back and forth along the wall, there is an indicator that shows by the red dots if there is something in the sheetrock. All of these things that we just talked about live in the top drawer of the pack outs. These are miscellaneous clamps. They operate in different ways. This clamp is a little bar clamp that you can squeeze right here, and it allows you to adjust it up and down, and then you fine tune it by tightening it right here. This is a little spring clamp. This is kind of like a spring clamp, but it ratchets into place, and to release it, you push this little lever right here. This is our main quick clamp. We carry a couple of these in our work bags. You squeeze it like this to tighten it up. Squeeze this little lever right here in order to release it. This is a caulk gun. It lives in the bottom drawer of the pack outs. In order to insert a caulk tube into it, you have to push this lever right here on the back, and then this allows this to slide backward. Then you can take a tube of caulk or glue. There's a hole in the bottom and it inserts just like so, and it drops in. Then you can push this until it's tight. Then you just squeeze this in order to squeeze the caulk or glue out of the end. To remove it is the same way. Pull this back and you have to pull caulk out just like that. Make sure this is in all the way for storage in the pack out drawer. This is our little giant ladder. In order to open and close it, you have to push in these two orange levers on the side. The one in the van is very similar to this. It is a Werner ladder. There's also a little part here that you push in, and that allows you to close the ladder up. When you close it, they pop back out. So to open it the same way, just like that. To extend the height, you have to do each side individually, and you do that by twisting these little black knobs like this, rotate them 90 degrees. They can go either direction, and then you pull the ladder up to the desired rung height. You line it up with this rung, and then flip it back the other way, and it locks the pin in place. Then you would do the same thing on the other side by unlocking these, picking it up to the desired height, and locking it back down in place. If you're on an uneven surface, this ladder, not the Werner in the van, but this one has a leveler adjustment so that you can just push down on this and it adjusts the leg for an uneven surface. To release that, you just pull up on this and it retracts the leg back up inside. These are levels. We use Stabila R-beam levels. We like them because they're painted all the way around and it won't scuff a cabinet finish. If you ever have a level that has a machined aluminum edge and you put it on a painted finish, it can scuff it. So just be careful with that. In order to remove the end caps here, you can squeeze this button on either side with 2 fingers and this pops off. We want to do that sometimes when we're marking towards into the corner of a wall, and then they just pop back on just like that. We have 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot, and 8 foot Stabila levels. This is a Traxall track. We have in the trailer, we have the DeWalt Traxall tracks. We don't like them as much as the Festool tracks that are in the van, and they may be replaced sometime. But this is what the Traxall rides on to get us a really straight cut. We have 2 sizes, a long track and a short track. This is our work light. In order to unfold the work light, you first have to flip this little lever out at the bottom, and it allows the legs to open up like so. Once they're open, lock that back down, and then if you want to raise the height, you can flip this lever and raise it up like this. It's got a nice little air piston in there so it doesn't come down and slam your finger like the T-Jack. In order to open it up, just grab these and they pivot around and you can point the light in the direction that you need to. The switch is right here on the side and the cord rolls up right here like this. When you wrap it around, just put it just like that and it'll pretty much stay into place. This is our rigid shop vac. The on and off switch is right here. We roll the cord around here on top. We make sure that if we use these wands, that they're always either on both on the left side or both on the right side for storage, which we cover the reasons for that in the trailer load up video. In order to change the bag in the shop vac, you flip these levers down, pull it off. The bag is right here. You have to pull this back. There's a little rubber seal around it, and the new bag will pop back on here, and then it just drops back into place like so. This is our air compressor box. It holds a small air compressor and nail guns and a few nails. We have one of these in the van and in the trailer. So we have extra nail guns here, 18 gauge, 16 gauge nail gun, 18 gauge nail gun is the medium size. And then we also have some hoses in here and some nails down here in the bottom. This is the 23 gauge DeWalt nailer, which is the same size as the cordless Milwaukee. This is just air powered. So all of these tools run off of this little mini Senko air compressor. This is the Traxall. It rides on the tracks that we discussed earlier. Inside the box is the saw, and there are also clamps that fit on the bottom of the track, and this is an end clamp. This clamp only works with the Festool tracks. It does not work with the DeWalt tracks. This is a 60 volt tool, so it only takes these large 60 volt batteries. It will not run with the 20 volt batteries. This is a rotary hammer. It's technically not a hammer drill, but we call it a hammer drill a lot. You can, it's for drilling in masonry or concrete, and you can also adjust it so that it only hammers and you can use it for chipping stuff. In both the trailer and the van, there is a box. In the van, it's a pack out box. In the trailer, it's this VersaStack box, but it has extra bits and tap cons. These are special screws for drilling into brick or concrete. This is the grinder box in the trailer. It just says grinder, but it also has the reciprocating saw, or sometimes we call it the sawzall, inside of it. This takes these long blades for kind of like really rough cutting, demolition work, stuff like that. And then the grinder we use for either kind of carving wood, or we also use it with these different wheels. It has a metal cutting wheel. That's kind of the most thing that we use it for the most. And we even have a masonry wheel in here for cutting different types of stone if needed. This is the Mirka sander. There's one of these in the trailer and in the van. This is a newer model. The one in the van has a separate box that for power that you have to plug in, but basically it's just got one cord that you have to plug into the back of the sander, and the pads are hook and loop that stick right here. We use this sander over the cordless sander if we have to do a lot of sanding, and this just does a little bit better job and has really great dust collection if you connect it to the vacuum. This is the large router. We do not have one of these in the van right now, only in the trailer. In the top tray, we just have miscellaneous router bits. These are bits here that are really fat. These are a 1/2-inch shank, and these ones that are skinny, like this one right here, this is a 1/4-inch shank. This right here, these are called collets. This one fits the 1/4-inch bits. This one fits the 1/2-inch bits, and those can be changed out on the router. And then under this tray, we have the router motor itself, and there's a couple of different bases. This is a plunge base, and this is a fixed base. This is a miter saw. I don't know what I'm gonna say about it. This is a miter saw. You can cut things on a miter by adjusting it to the left and to the right. You can cut things on a bevel by adjusting it this way. But you don't need to know how to do that, you little apprentice level 1.
Guys, this is a miter saw, and we're gonna try.
Start that over.
What did I do wrong?
It just wasn't started yet.
What's up, guys? This is a miter saw. Today we're gonna give you a basic breakdown of all the functions and operations.
This is what we use to cut trim, moldings. There's some creepy guy over there. And all you need to know is how to make calluses. Cut.
Maybe that.